Can you guys hear me okay? All right. You guys want to have a seat? We'll go ahead and get started. Well, good afternoon, and thank you for coming. My name is Chad Reed, and I serve as the university's Executive Vice President for Administration and Finance. Today we are gathered to formally dedicate a campus bench in honor of our friend, Leigh Comsudis. Today's dedication was made possible through a fundraising effort to secure support for naming a bench in Leigh's honor. Tara Saunders, our Executive Director for the Real Estate Foundation, stepped up to selflessly lead the fundraising effort. Thanks to the generous donations of over 40 contributors consisting of ODU faculty, staff, retirees, and alumni, all family and friends of Leigh, the Old Dominion University Foundation raised the $3,000 necessary to dedicate this campus bench in Leigh's honor. Let's pause to give a round of applause and appreciation and thanks for those who contributed to this effort and made today's ceremony possible. I'm so thankful that today is so beautiful as we're here to honor Leigh's memory. And unfortunately, I only had the pleasure of working with Leigh directly for my first 8 months here at the university. Over that time, I was honored to witness her grace and the genuine joy that she brought to others. As I started here in March of 2022, Leigh went out of her way to make sure that my transition to the university was as seamless as possible, anticipating my needs well before I was aware that she'd already taken care of something. While our time at ODU together was short, it was easy to see the indelible and everlasting impact that Leigh had on the division, the university, and the lives of all those she worked with over her 30 years of dedicated service as the administrative assistant in the Vice President for Administration and Finance office. As I got to know Leigh, I was also blessed to get to know her husband, Sava. I'm thankful that both he and Leigh's mother are able to join us today. Let's give them a round of applause. The dedication ceremony is as much for the ODU community as it is for the family. At this time, I would like to invite Tara Saunders to come forward and share more about Leigh's lasting impact.
Thanks, Chad, and welcome everyone again. You know, when Leigh passed away, the very first thing Chad said to me is that he wanted to do something really special for Leigh, to honor Leigh. And the idea of this bench came up. And thanks to many of you here today and your generous donations, we're able to have this, beautiful event. And we also needed to select a place for the bench, and I contacted Donna and I said, where would the best place be? And Donna mentioned that the Williamsburg lawn was Leigh's very favorite place on campus. And what's nice is this bench is just located right near the office where Leigh spent much of her career. So it's appropriate that we have the bench here today. And a couple of weeks ago, John Renee designed 4 different invitations for today's event. And we got together and we both liked the same one. And I told her, I said, this invitation reminds me of Leigh. And Jean Renee said, yes, she thought it was calming and elegant, just like Leigh. And everything about Leigh was elegant. She was my sweetest friend on campus and one of my all-time favorite people. She probably was the second person I met at ODU 18 years ago, and she welcomed me from the very start. And when I saw Leigh, it was mainly when I was going to meet the Vice President of Administration and Finance. and I've worked for 4 of them. And as Chad will tell you, I don't always have the best news to deliver in these meetings. So a lot of times I go in, and I'm anxious. But whenever I would see Leigh smile and start talking to Leigh, I felt so much calmer and I could feel my blood pressure drop. She just had that ability with people. And then after the meeting, I'd get to spend time talking with Leigh, catching up on Sava and her mother and her family, and the rest of my day was much better because of her. She had the best laugh, which I can still clearly hear, and a great sense of humor. And I reached out to some of Leigh's friends and asked them if they had any special stories they wanted me to share today. And Rob Wells talked about Leigh's kindness and how much she helped him over the years when he had issues to discuss with the vice president, and really made things easy for him. And Cindy Gall reminded me of Leigh's love of pizza. And Cindy would ask Leigh where she would want to go to lunch. And Leigh would tell her anywhere as long as they serve pizza. And Leigh also, over the years, would tell me, because the Real Estate Foundation, we work with the retailers on Monarch Way, and she would email me and call me and say, Tara, when are you going to get a Lido's Pizza on Monarch Way? Domino's Pizza was no substitute for Leigh. I mean, she never let up on that for years. And her second favorite restaurant was Perfectly Frank's. And I think on her last time on campus, she and Sava tried to go there, and there was a long line, and she immediately texted me, and she said, when is Perfectly Frank's going to expand their restaurant? They do not have enough seating. And I really miss Leigh always offering her comments, her support about what restaurants should and shouldn't be on campus. Donna was Leigh's closest friend here, and they started working together in 1980. I think they began their friendship working on ODU commencement committee, which is appropriate for this week with graduation coming up. And then they worked, their offices were side by side in the administration and finance suite. Leigh worshiped her mom, who's here today, and when Donna's mom became ill, Leigh invited Donna to come to the beach. And that was Leigh's place to be alone. But yet she invited Donna to make Donna feel better. And it ended up being a regular occurrence for them. They would go every weekend, and when the beach was too much for Leigh, they joined the Founders Inn pool and spent many happy times there together. I think we all know that Leigh and Sava's favorite place in the world is Disney World. And when she first started talking about all these trips to Disney, I thought, okay, they must be taking young nieces and nephews with them. But no, it was just the 2 of them. And one time, I think they invited Donna so they could show her all their favorite rides. And they also had a friend who was a famous chef at a Disney restaurant make a special meal for them. I mean, who has a friend that is a chef at Disney? And Sava and Leigh did, because they're just so kind and unforgettable. And Linda Shirk, who's also here today, became fast friends with Leigh when the budget office shared the same suite with administration and finance. And Linda noted all the fun they had together doing lunches and potluck breakfast, which made the combined offices a happy place to work. A group including Leigh and Sava, Donna and Frank, Bill and Judy, and Linda and her husband Nathan had a tradition of celebrating New Year's together, having dinner out. And Linda mentioned they've since lost Bill and Leigh, but they still get together to celebrate happy occasions and remember the joy that Bill and Leigh brought into their lives. And Linda said if she had one word to describe Leigh, it would be loyal. And Leigh was definitely loyal to her family, to her church, to her friends, and to her job at ODU. Very dedicated and a hard worker. And on February 2nd of 2024, I had made plans with Sava to visit Leigh at home. And I texted him that morning to confirm the time. And as I was getting ready to leave the office, I received a call, and it was Sava, who told me not to come because Leigh had just that minute passed away. And he told me that Leigh opened her eyes as if she had just seen angels flying down to greet her, and then she was gone. And I thought, what a lovely way for Leigh to go to heaven, and what a lovely remembrance for Sava and the family. I'd like to thank Mike and facilities management because a lot of work has gone on here the past year, but I think you'll all agree the bench, the landscaping is beautiful for Leigh. And obviously, a big thank you to Chad and John Renee, who worked so hard to make this event happen, and especially everyone that contributed to Leigh's Memorial Fund. Because of you, we now have a beautiful spot on campus to visit and remember Leigh and the love and happiness she brought to all of us. And Sava and Leigh really had a fairy tale romance. She told me many times about their first meeting and their long distance romance that eventually and fortunately brought Sava back here to Norfolk to join Leigh and her family. So I'd like to invite Sava to say a few words, and then I'm going to ask Sava to help with the ribbon cutting.
Well, today is a day of thankfulness. Thankful to the ODU family that Leigh cherished. Thank you to the friends who've traveled to come and be a part of this wonderful celebration. There's a 3-ring binder of notes that I left home because I would have kept you here until sunset talking about Leigh. I had a little whisper in my ear, and it's usually at times like this that Leigh would come to me. She'd give me a hug, give me a kiss on here, and then whisper in my ear, "Kiss, keep it simple, Sava." So that's what I'm going to do. Leigh was the love of my life, and I have no words that would be proper to tell you how much she loved me and how she loved me. But I also got a little nudge while I was preparing to come here, and it led me to a drawer in Mom's room to get something, and there was a letter from Leigh. And the letter was to her mother and her father. I hope I get through this. And this will give you a little peek into her heart and the wonderful woman that she is. My dearest Mama and Papa, please know that more than I could ever say, I love you both with all my heart. My entire life has been absolutely wonderful because of the love, support, guidance, and friendship you have given me. If God were to ask me to look all over the world to pick 2 people to be my parents, there would be no question you are the greatest and the only choice I would make. I know I've always spent too much more than you believed I should, and perhaps traveled too much, bought too many shoes. I can relate to that. And too many clothes. Then advisable. But when something would go wrong and I needed help, you were always there. I didn't always have what I needed. I thank you with all my heart for doing what I think any loving parent would do. And I plan to save now. Thank you also for all you've done for this wonderful wedding, my dream come true. Thank you for going more than you wanted to and purchasing my gorgeous gown and the wonderful cake and this great photographer. Please know that I'm going to miss you both very much. Please call and please visit, and I will too. If Sava and I have half of great marriage as you did, we will be very happy. You showed the way. You've been the best parents and a role model that I could have had. With all my love, thank you for everything. Love, your grateful daughter, Leigh. So that's a glimpse into her heart. She loves all of her family. She had very few friends because they all became family. And I was fortunate in that. You mentioned in Disney World, a lot of the times they loved Leigh. They tolerated me, but they loved Leigh. And it was a wonderful thing to be a part of. Having her love me is the best thing that ever happened to me on this planet. And as Tara mentioned, I was with her in her last moments, and she rose up and she did open her eyes, but she had this concerned look on her face. It was a forced smile because she wasn't worried about herself. She was worried about me. She was always doing that. She was selfless in that. So after that, I needed something to give me some comfort, that I knew she was up in heaven. Every night I pray that the Lord keeps her and keeps her happy and gives her the beautiful life in heaven that she deserves. So one day I got the inspiration, and don't ask me, I'm the person who can't draw a decent stick figure. But with the help of AI, but not the artificial kind, I use the artful inspiration AI, and between the two of us, we came up with Dancing with the Angels. Because if there's anything else that Leigh loved, and there's that breeze, she's hugging us all right now. She loved to Greek dance. And now up in heaven, I picture her smiling with her halo and dancing with the angels. So with that, I thank you all for being here, and thank you for this wonderful dedication to her memory. And one more thing that I think is important is this bench with that plaque will help to keep her memory immortal. It will be eternal, that her memory will be there, because every time somebody sees her image in their mind or thinks of her name or sees her name, even if they're strangers years from now, they'll look at that and they'll say, oh, Leigh Greetus Comsudis. That will power her memory to be eternal. And for that, I am eternally grateful to all her friends and her ODU family. Thank you so much. You know, it's also very appropriate that she's here in the Grecian Gardens. She's laid at rest in the cemetery in Grecian Gardens as well. So she's working her magic for sure.
Thank you, Sava. Thank you, Tara. Thank you all for joining us today. And I know that Tara mentioned on this briefly, but I would like to thank a few folks who made today's ceremony such a success. And facilities management, grounds, maintenance and operations, thank you, Mike, Andy, Carlton, all your team members. Web media, it's very important. There's a lot of folks who couldn't be here today, but I'm so thankful for Carson, Casey, Rachel, and all the team members that are able to stream this and record this so we can share it beyond. Also want to thank to Aramark. I hope that everyone is able to stay around, chat, talk about these special memories and greet each other and really have some fellowship. There are some beverages that Aramark has provided. And so thank you to all those. As before we depart, I just want to say it's clear to me that Leigh was just full of kindness, and everything that she offered to the world was about spreading that kindness. And I would ask that you all pay it forward today, as I will, by doing something kind to someone you don't know and keeping it special and paying it forward. So thank you for coming, and I hope you can stay in fellowship.